Thank you all for tuning back in with us here with the 100 Families Alliance of Pulaski County. And as I stated before, we are with Mr. Adrian Sanders. He is going to tell us in this segment what we started to tell you guys in the first segment. But Adrian, thank you again. Thank you for coming. And yes, of course, we want the Alliance to know not only are you a probation officer for juvenile courts, what else do you do?
Oh man, like I said before, there are lots of hats I kind of wear around there, but more recently, one of the hats that I've had to add is we deal with what we call families in need of service.
Okay.
To some people and out in the community, they refer to it as FINS. And basically what it is, it stands for just that, families in need of service. This is an opportunity for families who may be having trouble with their youth to get in touch with juvenile court or juvenile court personnel to let us know what the issues are. And, you know, there are many ways that people can get involved with court, but we have a way where we can try to assist a family without them having any court involvement, but still having access to court resources. And we call that a case management case. And any parent, any concerned person can just come up to our building, ask our receptionist for FINS information sheet. They fill it out right there on the spot. They leave a portion of it with the receptionist, and our receptionist will then assign that information to a juvenile officer. And a juvenile officer will be in touch with that family within 24 to 48 hours to see how they can help. That was one of the things that we absorbed with some of the changes that we've gone through. You know, and it hadn't come lightly, because I know I've been trying to gather the data, because that's another hat that I've had to put on, is to try to be a data analyst person.
Those numbers matter.
Yeah, numbers matter. Data drives decisions.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm on board. But you know, we would definitely at some point hopefully get some people over there, some staff that can reassume the role of our FINS case managers. But until then, the juvenile officers that are there, we've been taking on the load, and we've been doing it, you know, without problem. I mean, because at the end of the day, we all understand that we're here to help families, you know what I mean, and try to help them access the services out in the community that'll help them be stronger and better and more productive in whatever way they want to be. So
right.
That's kind of how FINS has been, and I can tell you, man, we've gotten lots of referrals over the last 4 or 5 months. Where do they come
from? So where do those referrals come from?
They can come from anyone.
Okay.
They can come from a parent. They can come from a teacher. They can come from just any concerned person who has somebody out there that they're concerned about that may be in need of service. And that's why I say family in need of service. So the service doesn't just have to. That's exactly what it is. So if someone says, hey, you know, my nephew is acting, you know, he's really acting out, or my niece is acting out, and I think they need some help. Let me call juvenile court. Hey, y'all come up here, get this information about FINS, and we'll see what community-based service we can hook you up with that might help you deal with whatever issue.
Right. And so it's kind of like a preventative.
It is very preventative.
Into the system,
per
se.
But there, like I said, there are other avenues. That's just one way. That's a case. We call that case management.
Okay.
That's because there is no court involvement. And ultimately, that's what we try to avoid. We try to help them without them being involved in court, because court comes with some expenses. It comes with time, you know, this, that, and the other. But then there are those cases in which the parents or the concerned person can say, well, I want to actually file a petition. And then that's when they can file a petition with the court. It's an actual legal document. And when you get into that, it comes with expenses.
Right.
So there is a fee possibly, unless you fall below a certain income. And then after that, the kid has to be represented by an attorney. So there's a lot more that comes along with it. And then there is a truancy FINS petition, to where the school districts who have a kid who is truant from school can file a petition to get the courts involved with that truant kid. So, you know, those cases are coming our way from all those different avenues.
I can imagine,
But as juvenile officers and juvenile staff, we try our best to divert them from the court involvement, because we can do pretty much the same thing without the court involvement that we can if they are involved with court.
Wow.
And so I think, you know, us being aware of that and being able to, you know, communicate that with families helps us divert a lot from tying up court time and stuff like that.
So do you have any type of resistance from the youth when you get involved?
Yeah, most of the time.
Course,
most of the time, because they don't want their parent coming up there asking us anything or putting them in our way for anything. But at the end of the day, it's us helping families help themselves. So, we'll try to help the family link up with a resource that can help them deal with that troubled kid, or we'll actually try to help the kid, get tied in with a resource that can help them deal with, whether it be substance abuse, anger management, things of that nature. All that's out there for them. And we, are charged with having to help link them to it.
Right. Is there a certain age range for those?
Anywhere starting at like 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
10 all the way up to 18.
Really?
Yeah, all the way up.
So do you have cases with children that young?
Sometimes you get an occasional 10-year-old or 11-year-old. It ain't like the days of old. You can't just say, take your belt off. You know what I mean? We got to try to figure out what's going on first. Yeah. And try to get them involved with stuff. But you get some young ones, but that's not common that we see them that young.
And do you guys, I know, so you partner with like DHS and some DCFS cases and stuff like that?
We get everything.
Yeah.
We work with everything and everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a lot in itself.
Yeah, that's just that. Exactly. That's just one part of working with people. That's not even the probation side. That's just fins. Right. You know what I mean? That's just fins. And so it can be a task at times. Yeah. But like I said, we're all there to do what we have to do to help people. So we suck it up and we deal with it.
So what would you say a typical, now this is just fins, what would be a caseload for a case manager with fins cases?
Well, if you were to look at today's numbers, they probably would be running about 40 families.
Wow.
It depends on how many you have.
Wow.
But because, like I said, we used to have 3 positions that done fins cases. Then it kind of went down to 2 positions. And then it went to no positions.
Right.
But just based on the data and the numbers that I think I've been collecting over time, and if I just break it down by staff, for the 11 of us that are over there, we have all probably added 8 or 9 more families onto our caseload. From just that.
Wow.
From just that. That don't even include probation. That's just people off the street who got problems with their kids, and we've said, okay, well, we want to help you.
Wow. And that number is, it's a lot, but what is encouraging to me is that they want to prevent.
Right.
Because they see it. And the best thing is if you have a family that's engaged and they see that this may be leading a child or juvenile to some trouble or things that they shouldn't get into, being able to acknowledge that, number one, and then ask for help is important. So, that's encouraging to know that, there are families out there asking for help.
Yes.
So, yeah. All right, well, that's fins.
Right.
So we have probation, we have fins. Okay, talk to us about the organization that you're a part of. We actually had a chance to come and speak.
Yes, and I appreciate you all for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Being one of my presenters.
Yes.
I was proud. But I also sit on the Arkansas Juvenile Officers Board, Executive Board.
Okay.
And in a nutshell, that's the board that tries to help facilitate training opportunities for Arkansas juvenile officers across the state. We get together quarterly to talk about training needs, training wants, training dreams, you know what I mean? All of that stuff. And then we have an opportunity to put on quarterly training. So there'll be a fall conference, spring conference, a summer conference.
Okay.
And all these opportunities are opportunities for us to, first of all, get together and kind of just vent and be with each other and share with each other our experiences.
And have fun.
Exactly. Have a little fun. But then at the same time, be educated on new things that are happening out there. Be refreshed on old things that are happening out there and kind of meshing it all together so that we can, first of all, get our training hours and be aware of what's out there for us to use to help families. Because across the state, I think, we are pushing to a way of being one family. One juvenile family, and I know if any of my board members were here, they would know that that's how I roll. You know what I mean? It's
Are you
not
family oriented, man?
Yeah, especially when it comes to this juvenile justice stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about Pulaski County. It's not just about the other counties. It's about all of us. And in a lot of instances, we all see some of the same kids sometimes. You know what I mean?
Wow. You know what? I never thought about that.
Yeah, we all see some of the same kids and families sometimes. So it's important that we know how to manage these families. We know, what direction to guide them in. We know what they've been through. We know what they are good at, what they're not good at, things that are working in the community, things that aren't working in the community. And the conferences that we put on with the AJOA give us an opportunity to explore all of those things. So that in itself helps us be a better juvenile justice community. It helps us communicate with the powers that be, wants and needs, and also learn from people who may be doing things different than we are that may be working for them.
I love that. The agency is family oriented. The families have to be family.
Right.
So the whole, hence the title, family engagement in the juvenile system. It's like everything centers around family engagement and involvement. So I know it's a hard job. It's a tough job. I commend you for the work that you do and your team that you guys are over there doing over on Roosevelt. Y'all are doing an amazing job. And I just want to thank you for coming. I want you to leave our alliance with the word. If you have a word for the day or some encouragement, what can you tell us? What can you leave us with? And we're going to end our segment with Adrian
I can't
Sanders.
believe you just put me on the spot like that. I was not ready to freestyle a quick 8 bars like that. But I do believe that, and I'll just be real simple. It's like I think together, working together, collaborating together, we can accomplish the goal of helping families help themselves.
I love it. That was perfect. See, look at you. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.